Could the New York Rangers actually consider trading the first overall selection in the 2020 NHL Draft? Which teams are most likely to make an offer to them to make that acquisition? And do they have the necessary assets to make a legitimate offer to really consider tempting them to make the move? We'll discuss that coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, today we're talking about the possibility, and I stress possibility, not like it's really anywhere near guaranteed to happen, of the New York Rangers trading the first overall selection in the 2020 NHL Draft. Now, of course, as we know, every year pretty well, whoever has the first overall selection usually does receive offers, and other teams are wanting to get their hands on that pick. So they usually make offers, but it hardly ever happens because usually teams are not willing to give up enough to get the job done. Of course, there have been times in the past when the pick has been in play, but it's not a common occurrence. And of course, this year's top pick, Alexis Lafreniere, is really known as a franchise-changing winger. Even though he's a winger, he still has that ability to be a major piece to build around. Now, in the case of the Rangers, the reason why some of these articles are being written and this opinion is out there is that they would really probably prefer to have a top center iceman rather than another winger. They have guys like Artemi Panarin and Chris Kreider on the left side already locked up longer term. They have more wingers in the prospect pool as well. And then they have young guys like Kaapo Kakko in the lineup too. So, I mean, clearly Lafreniere could find a way to play with the Rangers and contribute right off the hop, but it could result in them making other moves, maybe trading away somebody else. But either way, the Rangers are in a position where they could better use a center. I mean, Ryan Strome is their number 2 right now. He's an RFA. There's a lot of topics whether or not they're going to want to commit to him long term, and that can have an impact over their long term decision making. Here is what they do with Ryan Strome. So clearly, that's the premise behind most of these writers. Now we're looking at a combination of 2 articles here. We have Lisa Dillman, who writes for the Los Angeles Kings and the Athletic. We have Bruce Garriock, who writes for the Ottawa Senators and covers other Ottawa area sports in the Ottawa Sun as well as TSN. And they both kind of have the general consensus here that teams will be calling, and they're trying to tempt the Rangers to make a move. So let's take a look at the teams, discuss this article, and we'll see what they could actually offer up. Now, first we'll start the Los Angeles Kings. Now, of course, they're picking number 2 overall in the draft. So clearly they're getting a top player no matter what. But like many other teams around the NHL, they have a really good prospect pool, probably one of the best, if not the best. But they have all kinds of centers already, and they would prefer to get a winger. So obviously Lafreniere plays the wing. Or is it number 2? They're either going to get Stützle or Byfield, and both project to be center icemen at the NHL level. So really, from their perspective, I can see why they'd have interest for sure. I mean, they have top young center prospects like, Alex Turcotte. You got Velarde. You've got Akil Thomas. You get Rasmus Kupari. You got Tyler Madden. I mean, plus they already have some good centers on their NHL roster already. So clearly, if they could get a franchise winger like Lafreniere, that would be preferable. So I can understand why the Kings would have interest and at least have a conversation with the Rangers. So clearly, if the Kings go to New York and say, what's it going to take? They're going to offer up, obviously, number 2. You're not going to be able to get 1 and 2. There's no way they're going to go for that. So they offer up number 2 and another prospect. Now, obviously, in the Rangers' case, they're going to want a center probably, or be confident they can get that center. So the number 2 pick would likely be a top center for them, whether they take Stützle or Byfield. So that's possible. Or they could also get another center prospect because they're going to have to add more to it. So they could be one of those other center prospects I just talked about. The Kings also have some great winger prospects like Kaliev and Fadjimo and Anderson Dolan. They got some good defense prospects as well, like Kale Clay. They also have Bjorn Foot. I mean, this team is well stocked on prospects. They could probably afford to give up one of them as well as the number 2 pick to get number 1. I'm not sure if that would be enough or the Rangers would want more. Maybe they give something else off the roster too. Difficult to say, but the Kings are probably the best position to make a run and actually tempt the Rangers to make this happen. Not to say it would happen. I think the odds are still going to be slim here. I think the odds are the Rangers hold on to the pick, make the selection, take Lafreniere, and they figure the rest out later. Obviously, they can make other trades to kind of rejig their roster. But obviously, the Kings are well positioned to make it happen. Now, there's been also some talk about the Senators. Of course, they hold pick 3 and 5. I've seen some rumors and reports they could offer 3 and 5 for 1. And honestly, that I think would be a little crazy. That's a bit of an overpayment. I mean, Lafreniere, as good as he is, they're going to get 2 really good prospects. And even though he's better than both those prospects, when you put them together and look at the long-term implications, I don't think it'd be wise for them to give up both of those picks to gain 1. But Obviously, with picks 3 and 5, Ottawa can get a guy like either Byfield or Stützle, whoever's still available. And at 5, they can grab a guy like Marco Rossi, maybe the top defenseman, Jamie Drysdale. They're going to get a really good haul here with these 2 picks, and I don't see them offering both to go to number 1. In Lafreniere's case, he would be a major ticket seller for Ottawa who's trying to boost their ticket sales and kind of regain the fan base. Obviously, he's from nearby Quebec, bilingual, French-Canadian first language, which is obviously Ottawa has a lot of French in the city. So clearly he would connect well with the fans. It could be a big boost to them to get Lafreniere as compared to, a guy like Byfield or Stützle or something to that effect. So I can understand why there's interest there. But if I'm Ottawa, I'm probably offering the 3rd overall pick and something else either off my prospect pool or my roster to try to get this deal done instead of 3 and 5 both. Now, they also have another first rounder. They have the Islanders first rounder, which is going to be a later pick. Maybe they offer 3 and that, for example. That could be a possibility. But, of course, the Rangers are going to have to be assured they get what they want. So difficult to say. But, again, like L.A., I think L.A. is well-positioned, probably best, but Ottawa's right there with them in a near second place to be able to go to the Rangers and actually tempt them with a decent offer to make this deal. Now, like I said, it's going to be hard to do. Odds are likely that the Rangers refuse these trade offers and they keep the pick. But it's out there. They're going to have conversations. They're going to be tempted. We'll see. Now, the other teams mentioned in these articles are Montreal and Detroit. Now, in the case of the Red Wings, they are picking 4th overall, and clearly they're going to get a pretty good prospect there as well. But at 4, you're likely going to be looking at a different player, whether it be Cole Perfetti, Marco Rossi. Maybe they go for the goalie with Askarov. Either way, the Rangers might not get that high-quality center by swapping spots with them that they would with Ottawa or LA. I mean, at 4, Byfield and Stützle are likely off the table. So therefore, they're still going to get a good player. They could get a good center, but it's not going to be the exact same quality. They're kind of dropping down a notch, so they might not be as likely to want to accept that. Detroit doesn't have a ton of other assets. They're still early in this rebuild. I don't see them offering up like Philip Zadina or Moritz Seider or anything like that, because that's something like that, something substantial to me would be what it would take. Now, would Detroit have those conversations? They probably would, but I don't think they're going to be as well positioned. I think Yzerman would know that. And as much as he'd love to have that pick, I just don't see those conversations going too far. Now, in the case of Montreal, of course, I'm sure would have loved to have the selection. He's the top, Quebec-born player that come to the NHL in a long time. It appears to be, like I said, a franchise-altering winger. Clearly, Montreal has a pretty good prospect pool like the other teams we've discussed, but they're going to be picking much further into the first round since they beat Pittsburgh and have moved on to the official first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. So that first round pick of theirs is going to depend on how far they go. I mean, as I record this video, they beat Pittsburgh. They're now 1-1 with Philadelphia. You just never know. If they go further, another round or two here, like that pick could be well into the 20s. It might not be overly high. So clearly that's not going to be as much of an interest to the Rangers. So they'd have to include something really substantial beyond that. I know there's been a lot of talk around Max Domi, but I'm not sure that he's really going to be what the Rangers are looking for because, like I said, they're going to want a top center where even though Domi's played a fair bit of center lately, I see him more as a winger long term. I mean, could they offer up a guy like Ryan Poehling or just Barry Kotkaniemi? I just don't know. I mean, Poehling maybe. I don't see them offering up Kotkaniemi. He's really looking like he's coming around and developed quite a bit. He's gotten stronger. He's looking good in these playoffs. He very well could be that top number 1, number 2 center that they were hoping they were getting when they drafted him. So I just don't see that happening. I don't see them offering up a guy like Cole Caulfield or Alex Romanov. Maybe, but geez, I can't imagine they would offer up Romanov. They just signed him. Cole Caulfield's still in college. I'm not sure where he's going to play this coming year, but he's another, great prospect. But again, he's not a center, so I'm not sure that the Rangers are going to have a ton of interest. So I see Montreal's interest. Wanting this player would be great for the fan base, great for ticket sales. But again, I just don't see the assets being there to make it happen. So I'm not really sure that those conversations would really go all that far. So I guess let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think there's really any chance they're going to entertain these offers? Which teams do you think are best positioned? Give me your mock trades just for fun down in the comments. Again, just to reiterate here, because every time we have some of these conversations, there's always people that comment and say it's a dumb idea or you're an idiot or you're this or that. These are just articles we're looking at. That's the whole point of our channel is to have discussions around what is out there in the hockey world from NHL insiders or NHL writers, whatnot, to see if we agree, disagree with the concepts that are being discussed out there. So let me know your mock trades, what's going to take, and what are the likelihood of it happening. I think it's pretty slim, but there's going to be conversations. And like Brian Burke has said numerous times on Sportsnet, they need to listen at least. But if it goes any further than that, I guess we'll be surprised, but it depends on what's on the table. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments and we'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and turning on your notifications so you don't miss any future content, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.